To know where you are going, you have to know where you come from.
And a very good early morning to all of you out there who, despite the hour, have got up for this historic occasion in South African sport.
As South Africa and India mark 30 years of friendship, we look to the next 30 years with even greater anticipation.
We have millions watching this telecast right now.
50th Test match 100 for the great man.
If you don't have the belief that you can win the series here, there's no point coming here.
1-1.
That's him. The finger will go up.
And have a look at the celebrations.
Everyone, I'm sure, is pumped up about this clash.
Watch the Freedom Series from 26 December.
Hello, and welcome to the first test match review in this Freedom Series on the Full Quota podcast on One World Sports Radio. This is our cricketing. For those who are new, this is our cricket podcast on 1WSR.com. We do it every week. We cover all things South African cricket. My name is Mpho. I'm joined by Tim Dales, who you'll be listening to during the Cape Town series, the Cape Town leg of the series. Remember, the final 4 games, 4 matches being the final test in the 4 ODIs will be in Cape Town. Tim's our man in Cape Town. I'm also currently in Cape Town right now. You'll also be hearing me on the 3rd test, but we're going to talk about that later on. Right now is our recap of that first test between South Africa and India. India starting the series very, very, very well, winning by 113, winning for their first time at Centurion. They've now had 4 wins in South Africa out of 11. Tim, quickly, we're going to go into it, but what are your initial thoughts after the match about the game?
Yeah, initially, I was kind of expecting India to win it. I was hoping that we would be able to sneak out a draw or maybe win it with a good performance by one of our guys, but they were just better than us from the get-go, and they put the foot down and they've never let up. In every department, they were just better than us, so they fully deserve the 1-0 lead at the moment.
Yes, and I think let's go into that. Let's talk about the winning team, because I think that just said everything about India, about what India wanted to do in South Africa. And the last time they were here, they lost the first test, they won the second, and then they got very close in that final one at the Wanderers. If people could say they got close to losing, because obviously Vern decided to block out instead of trying to look for a 6 over long on to win the series. But it kind of like they picked up where they left off. The momentum in that final series in South Africa was with India, and they just were like, guys, this is who we are. But it's a team that has played test cricket around the world away from home. They've won away from home. They started the year winning in Sydney. They finished the year winning in Centurion. And their batters, regardless of who was opening, Abhishek Mukherjee and myself were talking about who was going to open. Yes, Rohit wasn't there, and it made it a little bit easier. But Mayank Agarwal and KL Rahul, who in South Africa last time averaged 7.5 in that series, came through. And it was one of the best, I think, the best batting performances by an opposition batter in South Africa outside of Australia and necessarily England. All the people from the subcontinent, that was probably the best morning session I've ever seen watching South African cricket. It was soft hands. It was just beautiful. Yes, there was that chance. We'll talk about that. But for me, India went out on the front foot. KL Rahul pushing India through, and they were on top the entire game. There was no point where you were like, South Africa's going to get in. And the chance where South Africa's going to get in was we were hoping that you could get a situation where, and it was that type of thinking and talking.
Yeah, no, they were exceptional. We did allow them to be exceptional because we were not good enough with the ball. We were far too short on that first day in particular, far too wide. But as a batting performance, you can only play what you've come up against. And I think it was a 2014 series where I actually thought they left magnificently in that series. It was similar this time. So when we did get it right, their leaving of the ball was far superior than our batters in our backyard. And that's an area of huge concern. Several of our batters were caught out playing at balls, playing on the stumps, playing away from the body, whereas particularly the openers, they left those balls, that fourth stump line again and again and again. When people like Rabada and Mkidi got into a nice rhythm, they weren't flustered, they just knuckled down, they knew exactly what they were there to do. They were there to blunt out our attack, and they did it superbly. And from then onwards, it was just in full control. We had our moments in between, but they were always in control.
It seems like in world cricket, and from a batting perspective, it wasn't outside of KL Rahul and possibly in parts Temba. From a batting perspective, this test match wasn't that great, and it wasn't based on the quality of the bowling. I look at both sides, and South Africa struggling to score 200 twice. That's something. And then India scoring 300. And that being the defining moment. And I don't want to say that that's going to be what's going to happen in this series, where whoever scores 300 or 350 is setting themselves to win. But I look at world cricket right now, and I look at England's woes. I look at Australia's batting is okay, but it's not like world class. Yes, Marnus is like the one man, but like I sit there going, okay, is something wrong with international test match batting? Because I think the only other side that I think I trust to score 400 is New Zealand, but they don't play that many test matches.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a real problem, and I think we said it before. I think if we were going to win this series, we were going to need to score 350. If we don't score 350 at some time in the series, doesn't matter what the Rabada does. It doesn't matter what Mkidi does. We will lose the series. Somewhere in the line, the batters have to come to the party.
We've got some comments coming in here. Manivanan says he wants Mulder out. He wants Olivier in. That's what it looks like. He's also thanking us for covering the radio, having the radio coverage. Werner says our bowlers were visibly rusty on that first day. It was our main concern heading into the series, our lack of long form of preparation. Not even a 4-day game apart from Alga and Jansen. We need Hashim Amla as a batting coach, says Jean Dion Luc. He says, if not Hashim, at least Andrew Patrick, Stephen Cook. And okay, let's answer some of these. Batting, you've said this on Twitter that this team needs a full-time batting coach. What does CSA have in place right now?
They have a batting consultant who is the interim batting guy that guys go to. He was there for the Caribbean series, and he's there now. But he's not a full-time post. So he is now with the Northwest, for example, Northwest Cricket. So when this series finishes, as I understand it, he's going to Northwest. Those are his employers. That's his job. He's filling in as I say, it's the consultant. If you look at the coaching setup, all of them are coaches. So you've got your fitness coach, your head coach, your fielding coach. He's a batting consultant. So he tells you, he's come in, he works for them for 3, 4, 5 weeks, then he's off. This team is not where a number one. If you're number one, you can afford to do that. You can afford to have somebody come in, push in a few ideas, be quick and fast, and then move on. We are in a passage where we are in desperate need of somebody who's going to be there 24/7, 7 days a week, working with the players all the time.
7 days a week at night in their bedrooms.
They need them. The techniques are woeful. I'm sorry, but the techniques and some of the dismissals
Okay.
are woeful. So we desperately need
Okay,
that.
so we've got a lot of comments coming in. Let's deal with that first comment. We were rusty. Day one, we were rusty. I think even if we batted first, we'd still be rusty. We probably would have been
still be rusty.
under 150. Yes. But the preparation, right? We sat on this podcast, and you can go back and have a look. And we spoke about the fact that we actually wanted them to have an internal game. They did have that internal game. But I don't think an internal game amongst guys in that 21 would have been something. You wanted something competitive, something that had an outcome, something that gave them different strategies. There was a question that why couldn't they have played that final round of fixtures before COVID hit? The domestic season, the one on the 24th. Vian Mulder played in that one, actually. I took a clump of wickets for the Lions, even though the Lions keep on bowling teams out for 180. I think Dean Alger had played 4-day games because he's not playing limited overs cricket. But the rest of that side were in Dubai, so they needed rest. And I kind of felt that they had rested one domestic game too long because there were two domestic fixtures when they came back. One, I was okay with that they weren't going to play, but the other one, and well, largely for me, I was selfish. I wanted to see a Lions side that had Rassie, Temba, Gachiso, with Ryan Rickleton, try and Duan Olivier to see whether this thing actually could work. And also give Lungi a game in that last one. He did get COVID there, but the bowling was very poor in that first morning. They were just too wide. It was fifth stump line the whole way through.
Yeah, it was really, really poor. I'm just going to go back quickly on the not playing a game. In the past, places like England, what they've said to individuals to say, right, we need you to score runs, go over, play for your county, bat, but you don't field. So you bat, you score your runs, and then you don't play the rest of the game. You've got your 100, fantastic, you're in form, you don't play the full 4 days. And something like that.
What about the second innings?
Well, you could have played the second innings. You play one innings, get yourself in, so you get a taste of competitive cricket, but you don't have to play the hard, arduous, full-on 4 days. I understand with COVID that would have been a bit more complicated, but it would be nice if something like that could have happened.
That would have been fine because you have a 12th man for a reason, and 12th man fields, and then you carry the drinks. That's okay.
Yeah. And the bowling was just poor. The bowling was just poor. Look, what Bart said at the press conference, he said when we finished that session, we didn't need anybody to tell us how poor we were. We knew we were poor. They knew themselves that they were really, well short of what was expected. So they knew that they were too short. You saw the pitch map. The pitch map at the first session, there was one drive down the ground. One drive down the ground for a single. Neither of the openers drove in that V section. There was not a single run in that V section. For 83 for no wicket, the runs were scored front of square on the offside, behind square the leg side, and a sort of third man region. No runs in that V section. That tells you where the bowling was. That tells you. You don't need to think about it. They bowled wide, too short.
Yeah, and to a certain extent, Kel, because here's the thing. This is my assumption with South Africa. I think whenever South Africa played, this is plan A. Let's keep it out wide, fifth stump, fourth stump line. They like to come on the front foot because that's how they play in their country, well, in subcontinental conditions, front foot. We've seen Tendulkar cover drive, we've seen Rahul drive, seen all these great Indian batters do this, right? And then when they come and they want to do it, the extra bounce is going to get you nicked off. That's plan A. I'm okay with that, right? 30 minutes in, if plan A is not working, I thought South Africa would go, oh no, let's try bounce them out, because that's how South Africa does when they don't get wickets. Throughout day one, there was never a body line strategy to those guys to make them at least try fend at balls or play at balls. Do you get what I'm saying? Yes, in the second inning when KL Rahul went back, it was out. He was actually fending one. On the second day, he was fending one down the leg side. So that was my thing. I was like, okay, this is very uncharacteristic from a South African side, because when you don't have ideas, I hate your plan B, by the way. I don't like you running too short ball barrage. I'd rather you bowl it full, straight. Like Vern used to do that. If Vern never got any joy outside the off stump and he'd always start there with Dale, they went wicket to wicket. They forced the batters to play. And the question now is, how good are you? What's your technique? You know? And that's the strategy that India went to automatically. They said, we're bowling wicket to wicket, top of off. How good's your technique? And they were found out. All of them were found out. And so my problem was that he says that at lunch, nobody needed to tell them anything. I get that. But nothing changed. The only bowler who actually did change was Lungi, and Lungi was trying to get the outswinger. He then was like, you know what, screw this. I'm going with my natural shape. I'm bowling in at them. And he got joy. He got wickets. He got Agarwal. He got, yes, the one for Virat Kohli. He did throw one out there full and wide, and Virat played at 12th stump. Fine. Good. Happy with that. But that's what my problem is with the side, was that they took too long to adapt. And even with the batting, they take too long to adapt. It's kind of like they want to stick with plan A, and this is plan A until. And my problem, my answer to them is that, guys, we're adults. We're here to win games. Change things. If you don't agree with Dean, go to him. Like when Lungi said in the first session, he wasn't finding the rhythm at the Henops River end, which is that far end with that big white side screen. He wanted to bowl from the pavilion end, right? Which normally is, because he's the strike bowler at the Titans, I would assume that's his favorite end, that he bowls from the Titans. Nobody wanted to give it to him up until after lunch. So we need to be quick to adapt, especially at the Wanderers. At the Wanderers, the key, and we've seen it this season, it's not throwing it outside the off stump. It's bowling on top of off. Duan Olivier has taken, I think, a lot more wickets bowled than I actually expected. Than once I thought he would either nick off behind or be caught in and around on the leg side because he was bowling short. So if we're going to go in with the plan of let's stick it outside off like we did and we don't adjust, I'm okay with that to start off with. It always works. Virat Kohli wicket, Virat's wicket in this are a testament to that. But outside of that, you should always make the batsman play. And that's what you do, even on pitches that are dead. So I was slightly worried, but that was my thing with the bowling. Day 2 was a lot better. I think that morning session in day 2, South Africa. I know Prasanna Agaram, the former team analyst, was like, no, but they were never in the game. India never collapsed. Well, look, it would have been an innings loss essentially if that morning didn't happen. Yeah. But they've corrected it. But it can't take a day. It honestly cannot take a day. What I'm happy for was Lungi. I think Lungi bowled well throughout the entire test, apart from that first morning. I thought Marco was the second best bowler in the side, and I thought KG was a close third. From a bowling perspective, I know Duan had COVID and his bowling loads were lower. You have to start Duan at the Wanderers, even if Marco bowled well.
Yeah, you have to. Duan has to play. There's no discussion, no debate, there's plenty of debate because you say he was fit and then he had COVID and then he was bowling loads. There's now no excuse. No excuse. Duan Olivier has to play. If you look at that second innings, in particular, you look at how Marco bowled. Marco bowled at times, bowled that length that Duan is going to be bowling. That back of the length, in at the ribs, and they didn't like it. They didn't like it in that second innings. When he was bowling the ball, get the ball go across, and then the ball come in, they didn't like it. So when Duan could get the fourth stump, and then he can go with his old style bowling in at the ribs with the extra pace.
Yes,
it's very interesting.
Tim, how did you find Marco's debut?
I was worried after day 1. I'm not going to lie. I said I thought it was too early. Huge talent. I thought it was too early. I didn't want to push him into the game too early. However, he proved me wrong for the next couple of days. I thought he bowled really, really well on that second day. and then he just got better. He just got better and better and better. He got more consistent. He got more confident. At day one, he was walking through his action. At day one, he was sort of 60-70%.
He was very nervous. He was very
and it was nerves. Yeah, it was nerves. Of course, it was nerves, and that's perfectly understandable. And then it improved.
So there's a moment in that game on day one that I think, had it happened, we might be sitting here talking about a different result or a much closer result. Yes, we know Mayank Agarwal and KL Rahul got that 117-run partnership. South Africa lost by 113 runs. If you want to do quick maths and whatever, you could say maybe that's the partnership. But Marco Jansen, he was spraying it everywhere on day one. Wasn't the best of times, but he got one. He had one wicket-taking delivery, and it was dropped by Quinny. It was a tough take for Quinny, but those are the ones sometimes you're like, but Quinny, you always take those ones. That's like the 9 out of 10 thing. Had Quinny gloved that one and taken that one, we'd probably be talking a different thing. We also probably would have been having Marco Jansen bowling a lot better and a lot more consistent, because now he's got his first test wicket behind the belt. That was just tough to take, and I felt sorry for the young man, because I kind of was like, dude, like of all the people to drop, like anybody else on the field can drop you. Quinny can't.
Yeah, but he improved. I think he can be very proud of his performance. Also, he showed glimpses as to why people are so complimentary of his batting. He looked the part. That was the difference. He looked the part when he came into bat. He didn't look at all flustered about the situation, which is a huge credit to him against that bowling attack.
And that's why we believe in this. Like, I think a lot of people believe in his batting more than we do. We're like, it's too early. I'd like for Marco to actually bat at 6 for the Warriors. Robbie P, if you're listening to me, I know you've got like these great batters. I know you've got Lesiba and all those guys, but maybe try to figure out a way to get Marco to get a lot more reps with the bat, because I think that's something that he could work on, and we saw that here with the Proteas. And that was something that you could put a tick and say that's a positive. Like, okay, fine, yeah, okay. Look, we're gonna have if we have 7 batters at the Wanderers, Marcus can even bat as a 7. I actually saw more promise in his batting than Vian's. It was weird. It was very weird, because I thought Vian was slightly loose, but I thought Marco was very compact, and Marco had the ability to dig in and stick around. And Marco reminded me of a KG. Vian's got a higher ceiling than Marco and everybody else. But I just kind of felt like, wait, like this kid is serviceable as a number 8. Even he's actually would be a really great number 9. But I was like, okay, we see that there's something there and you can work with it. And the number one thing was he knew where his off stump was. He had a very good defense. He wasn't as loose as the others, especially when he was batting with Kagiso. I kind of was like, okay, Temba, had you stuck around, you probably could have gotten closer to 100, dude. But yeah, okay. South Africa's batting. Tim, what was that? Like, how would you characterize how South Africa batted in this game? Was it rust or was it technical?
No, it's technical. Come now, it's technical. We beat the West Indies in the West Indies. But look at the scores we made. Look how many runs we made. We can make 300. We didn't even get close to 300 against the West Indies. So it is 100% technical.
Was the last time we made 300 in Pakistan when Aiden scored that 100 and Rassi got close to 100? Yeah. Like he scored like a 90? Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. And that was in Karachi.
Which was a long time ago. Let's put it that way. A long time ago. I've been saying this for a long time. I've been saying this actually since Dale Bekenstein left. You can't have a premier side. You can't have your number one side in the format of cricket without the correct backup staff to supplement it. You You can't expect us to be number one in a year's time with what we've got. You can't. It's not going to happen. It is not going to happen. I tell you right now, it's not going to happen. You need to invest in better individuals, better coaching, to give us an actual, genuine chance of getting to the number one spot. And that is my huge problem. If you look at the techniques of the batsmen, you had Adam Markram completely at sea, completely no idea where his off stump was, which is why he played onto his stumps. He didn't.
Why the line that he played in that first innings, that shot, that the ball that went on off, right? It, like everyone says, it was a good ball. No, it wasn't. Yeah, it was a good ball because that's where you should be bowling as a bowler. But if you know where your off stump is and you are certain of it, you're not going to miss the line. The worst it could have done was it could have hit him on the pad. It would have been an LBW shot, and it just depends on what Maria Rasmus is feeling like that day. I'd rather go down that, right? Yeah. And I don't even think he would have given you out because it probably would have been too high. So the issue with and my biggest, like, Aiden's been batting so well this year. All of a sudden now he's gone back to 2018 Aiden, Pakistan at home, playing across the line or inside the line of people, trying to make play down the leg side. And I was like, dude, like, you've been so good. Like, the entire year, you've been so good. You've been making me feel like I'm unfair on you. And I know he's a better batter than that. That bothered me a lot. I was like, we can't be taking two steps back. And that's what it felt like with this batting situation.
Yeah, just absolutely. Then you've got Rassie. Now, I think we've reached the end of Rassie in this format.
Rassie and his hot hands.
I think it's the end. I think we can have him in the white ball stuff for another 2 years, I reckon. We could squeeze another couple of years in him. Easy. But hard hands, and when he gets stuck, he doesn't go anywhere. He doesn't go anywhere. You need to go somewhere. Even if it's incorrect, you need to go somewhere. Exactly. Then
using my lines against me.
Then you've got Keegan Peterson. Like the guy. Hugely talented. I think he is potentially test quality, but you can't be that loose at this level. You cannot play that far away from the body that often. He did it at the West Indies. He's doing it now. Look good for 10, 12. You think, this guy's is in the eye. He's
that
in the eye.
Before lunch, Tim. That's the four you want.
It's the ball, but look where he's playing. He's playing that through mid-on.
On the sixth line,
through mid-on. If he plays that straight, he's gonna hit that, maybe not middle, but he's gonna hit it, and he's not gonna get the edge. Great delivery, but he's playing across the line. And generally, Quentin de Kock. I'm sorry, Quentin. Every team needs their X factor player. He's our X factor player. We want him to score runs. We don't want him to be that Rassie. We don't want him to be locked down. We want him to take the strike. I understand that. But you cannot. That is just poor batting. Both innings, that's just poor shot making. There was no excuse for it. There was just poor shot making 101. Again, forcing the issue. Forcing the issue when we didn't need forcing, particularly in the second innings. In our second innings, there was a glimmer. It wasn't much of a hope, but it was a glimmer of hope that we might get the title when he was batting with Timber. And it's just poor. Forcing the issue way too close to him. Again, that's technique. There was a huge problem. There are guys, but the thing is, there are guys within our system that are knocking at the door. There are guys that are going, I'm here.
Is sitting there.
Yes. So,
and I know that he's been told that he's only going to be there if an injury happens.
Yes.
actually, let's move on to what must happen. But before we do, any positives from the batting? Anything that was like, oh, that I like that.
Tempo was good. Tempo was good. Tempo was solid. Both innings. He needed a bit more.
Was that wicket in the first innings, Tim? Was that wicket because he gets to 50 and most batters exhale? They take the applause and then they have to get themselves back in. And because he has to do that and go through all his processes, that's when, obviously now he's trying to figure out where all stump is again. And that's when he gets himself up because he was defending those balls while he was actually leaving them.
If you looked early, if you look sort of the last 15 minutes of that innings, Shami in particular, I don't know how Shami does it, but Shami pulls that beautiful full stump line, and he's not a particularly tall bowler, but he does get that extra bounce in that full stump line. And there were, I would say, half a dozen times where Tembe was playing at those deliveries, playing and not getting an edge. He was playing. He wasn't pushing, but he was playing at them, getting it, play and miss. So I kind of saw it coming. I kind of saw, if Chambi has been so consistent throughout this test match, my word, he bowled beautifully. If he just keeps doing that, eventually an edge is going to come. And that's what happened.
Here's something about Shami before we carry you carry on with your point there. Shami was the closest thing to Vern since Vern retired here in South Africa.
Yeah.
It was Vern-esque.
Yeah.
With a little bit more pace.
Yeah. It's very difficult to play.
So your final point on Timber?
Tempo is giving us bite size. He's giving us bite-sized quality. And we need, in the same way that we need Quinton to step up, we need Tempo to step up. We need them both to step up, particularly with the youngsters of Keegan Pearson coming through. We need them to do more. So
here's my idea before you carry. Here's my idea. I kind of feel like Temba feels as though the moment the established batter goes out, like Vian, he can work with Vian. They were in the same team together. He then has to shepherd the tail. And he's not good at that. He doesn't want that, right? And so his answer is become a little bit looser, be a little bit more attacking, and try and push as many as you can. And then he gets out. Largely because of what Mone Morkel did to him at the Wanderers, getting out on 98, when he probably felt in that innings, and he still thinks about that innings possibly, to be like, actually, I could have tried to be a little bit more aggressive to get there rather than take time shepherding this guy, trying to get him to teach him how to bat, essentially. And he had Marco there. It would have been interesting to see had KG come out, how he would have actually played with KG. Because I think KG understands what the thing was, whereas Marco was a little bit nervous. And so that was my thing with Timber. And so here comes my point. Isn't it time for Timber? I think we've tried this for a few games, but at 4. Is Timber not our number 3 with the way he plays?
I think there's a very good discussion about changing the current number 3 and bringing Keegan down at the very least. I think that I actually think that should happen. I think Keegan should be batting at 4. Just hope to hell that we are 100 by that stage, by the time he gets in. Look, yes, if that is 5's, yeah, 5's probably too low for him. So 4, yeah, then you've got a problem there with what you do with Keegan. I think ideally
you swap Timber and Keegan because Russ is already at 4, right?
Yeah.
I think the Russie discussion is a different discussion, right? But we can have that now. I say keep Russie at 4 like it's been happening, but let Timber go bat at 3. I know Timber wants to bat at 4. I know that. But he has the technique in international cricket over 3. He is more Rahul Dravid, more Pujara-esque, not from a runs perspective, from a technique perspective.
But
compact, not willing to be too open, too flashy, too aggressive. I know Timber can play aggressive cricket, but from what this team's required of him throughout his entire career, I do think him batting at first drop might be a thing. I don't think he'll like it, right? But I think it's an answer. I'm also not averse to Rassie at 3, Timber at 4. We've tried Timber at 4. I think we just need to continue. Because right now we're being told on day 4, at the end of day 4, that this team was rebuilding. And the answers the people were using were no, but so-and-so's batted at 3 for like 3 times. So-and-so's batted at 4 for like 4 times, even though they've traveled. Literally, this team, 5 members of this top 6, right, has traveled the world, and 3 of them have traveled the world twice. Timber was in New Zealand, and we're about to go back to New Zealand. Aiden started his career after that New Zealand series, so he's going to go travel around the world once. So I'm sitting there going like, "Oh, guys, like you can't do that with rebuilding." This top 6 has been there for an average of 3.5 years. But I'm okay with a Timber and a Peterson swap. I'm happy with that. I'm okay with that. Let Keegan Peterson, even if it bats at 6 and Quinny comes in at 5. We've got another problem at the Wanderers that we're going to talk about. What do you do with Aiden? Many people are like, no, but Aiden needs to bat at 4. Aiden is our best batter. He must bat at 4. What do you think about that, Tim?
Aiden has batted at 4 domestically on 1 occasion. 1 occasion. That was for the Northerns at semi-professional. And he's batted at 3 for the Titans twice. I see no evidence to say that he should be batting at 4 whatsoever. He had a bad test match. He will be the first to admit he had a bad test match. He's had a good year. He's had a good year. Good 12 months.
Before this match.
Yeah.
Averaged like 55 in test match cricket before this match.
Yeah, exactly. So I think you stick with him. I think you stick with him as an opener. I think you stick with him for the series, and the summer actually. This is the summer. For me, the Aiden one is very simple, and I've said it before. Either Aiden makes it as an opener in Test cricket, or he doesn't make it in Test cricket. It is that simple. I do not want to see a situation where you have a talented individual, and because he's a talented individual, you move him around like musical chairs. And then eventually, he finishes with an average of 35, never fulfilling his career and always being the one who never made it. Either he's going to make it as an opener, I think he will long term, or he won't. That's as simple as that. I do not see any evidence to suggest that he should be batting at 4. We've got the middle order that we've got. We've discussed that. I think Keegan should be batting there. I think Keegan should be given a long stint there. He's a perfectly good and he's an attractive batsman in that position. So no, I wouldn't be moving. I wouldn't be moving Aiden at all.
Okay. Okay, let's move on to what we do for the next test. We understand Quinton de Kock will not be playing. So that is going to bring in one of either Kyle Verreynne and Ryan Rickleton, who are the wicket-keeping replacements in the squad. Right. Tim, what's your 11 coming into the Wanderers?
This is so two definite changes, obviously. So I've been tossing and turning for a good couple of months. I don't mind either way. Either it's Kyle Verreynne or Ryan Rickleton for Quinton de Kock. I don't think there's much in it in the two. You might find they'll go with Verreynne because Verreynne played at the game against the Netherlands. So he is and
in the West Indies as well.
And in the West Indies, so he is the guy that's been blooded. So you might find that he'll come in, and I think for me it's Todd Olafia for Maharaj. I think that for me is those are the certain changes that I would
So you are going without a spinner.
Yes. Yeah, I know it happened 3 years ago. I understand that. I understand that. But I think I said at the beginning when we previewed the series, I said Ashwin and Maharaj at Cape Town. That's the battle. It's not going to be at Centurion. It's not going to be at the Wanderers. The battle is what they do at Cape Town. So yeah, it's that for me. Then you've got a tricky situation. You could, I think it'd be a huge gamble, but you could do a bowler for Mulder. You could go with an extra
bowler
for
or a
Mulder.
batter.
Huh?
One extra batter.
So you have you go in with a 5-man pace attack.
Five.
Go all guns blazing. And you go in with a 5-man pace attack, and you pick maybe Stillman for Mulder. That's a little left field. I get that. The reason
You're putting a lot more pressure on that top six.
a lot more. And maybe they need it. Maybe they need it. Maybe they need to kick up their ass. Maybe that's exactly what they bloody need. The reason I say that.
How
The
do
reason
you
I say
repeat?
that. Yeah. Let me qualify. The Indian batting coach said for far too long, we've come to South Africa and we've gone with the 7-4 split because we've always felt we needed to get 400, 450 against South Africa's phenomenal bowling attack to win the series. Not true anymore. All India need is to get to 300 and win the test match with a 5-man pace attack. 5-man attack. So they are looking along those lines. They're looking along 300, win with the bowling attack. I think there was an argument. I'm still unsure, but there's an argument to say we could do exactly the same. We could do 6 and 5.
But our top six can't score 300 runs. Because that's the other side of the coin is if I'm Mark Boucher and I'm Dean Alga and we're sitting tonight and we're discussing this, the question is how do we score 300 runs? And for South Africa, it's actually one extra batter. Whereas for India, they can sit tonight and say, we can score 300 runs with just the 6, and Ashwin can go and do whatever he wants to do. And we can actually drop Ashwin for the Wanderers, which I don't think they should because I think he's still an attacking threat to South African batsmen who struggle to play spin. I'm not saying that they're over their spin woes after Pakistan. So for me, it's for both sides. Like your argument there, Tim, is an Indian argument, I think, where it's like, let's give them Navdeep Saini or let's give them Ishan Sharma to deal with. And in that first, wow.
But look, what are we getting from Mulder as a batsman?
No.
Zero.
This
Zero.
Here's my team. Yes.
Zero.
So here's my team.
Absolutely
Here's
zero.
my team. So Tim,
go on.
Yeah, so I'm with you, and I'm going to get there. Here's my point. Here's my team, right? We are dropping Vian Mulder and Keshav Maharaj. I hate to say this, and everyone who's watched the Full Quota podcast knows I don't want to go in without a spinner. I really don't. But the situation when it comes to batting is dire. It's very, very dire. It is so bad. But I know because I've watched the lines at the Wanderers, right? So my thing is this: 4 quicks. Pick your best 4 quicks. KG, Lungi, Marco Jansen, and bring in Duan Olivier. Why? Because the Lions at home have dismissed teams for under 180. If you get 230, 240 at the Wanderers, you're probably going to win the match. And that's like what we've seen this season. And you can say, domestic Mpho, domestic. Oaks, Duan Olivier is a nightmare. And bringing in Duan into the side is going to literally take, I think, 50 runs off of India's total. So India looking for 300. They should be aiming for about 240 because Duan's probably going to cause a lot of damage. New ball, Duan and KG, done. After that, you've got Lungi and you've got Marco. That's how I would play it, right? Batting. This is how I'd go with my batting lineup. Aiden, Dean, 1 and 2. 3, I'd go with Rassie. 4, Temba. 5, I'll go with Kyle Verreynne. 6, Keegan Peterson. 7, Ryan Rickleton. I know SJ and I know Sorrell's been waiting for his opportunity, but based on how the selectors are telling Sorrell needs an injury to Dean and thingy. I think that's the best way to go about it. I don't want versatile Markham. I've already had enough of versatile Markham for 1 year. Oh, Aiden Markham's versatile, I can bat anywhere. Yeah. That's where I'm going with Ryan Rickleton at 7. Ryan Rickleton averages 93 in domestic cricket. He also keeps. It's a nice opportunity to give a guy who can bat lower down the order and take the duties. What I'm telling Kyle Verreynne is, Kyle, I need you in the side as a batter, right? You are competing with Rassie for the number 4 spot, right? At the end of the day, once Keegan is up and running, Keegan needs to move up to 3, right? The number 4 spot is between Rassie and Kyle. They need to fight for it. What I'm saying to Kyle is for the next 2 test matches between you and Rassie, you're going to show us what you can do. We'll make a decision going to New Zealand as to whether, because I think in New Zealand, there's a chance for you to drop Rassie and bring Kyle in. And when you do bring Kyle in, you give him 3 years. You run him for 3 years, and Kyle's in your middle order for 3 years, and you do that. So I would play Kyle Verreynne in there. I know we love, 2 wicket keepers in the side, pretty cool. Your spin, if you have to bowl spin at the Wanderers, and you're listening to me right now, you're watching me wherever you are around the world, we're waving the white flag. Whoever it will be, they'll be waving the white flag. You should be able to take your 20 wickets with your fast bowlers, both sides. And essentially, you should be able to even take your 20 wickets within under 3 sessions. That's how I expect that Wanderers wicket to play. I'm expecting drama. I'm expecting blood. I'm expecting fast bowlers running rampant through people. Because if you, honestly, if a batter scores 100 at the Wanderers, well done. Well played. You won the game for your team. And so my answer to this is, it's Ryan Rickleton's home ground. That's the ace up your sleeve. You've got the 3 best lines batters in your side. You've got Temba, you've got Rassie, and you've got Ryan. Surely one of them, even if they give you like a 50 or like a 75, if you score 50 at the Wanderers, it's close to 100. And I think the one guy to actually this season, I think Ryan's scored closer to that to 100 in one of the games. But for me, that's how I would go. I think that works. And guys, if you guys are like, Aiden needs to bowl 10 overs, no. If Aiden bowls, even on day 1 or whatever, day 5, whatever it is, guys, it's over. We might as well. We're gonna be at the stadium. We might as well pack up and go home because India will have won. So, so for me, that's where we're going. One last question from Lawrence Bailey: why is it so easy to drop Rassie though? Here's probably the other guys in the team that needs more dropping than Rassie. Rassie has carried South African SA in ODI tests, T20s for the past 3 years as well. Tim, your answer to that, because we had that discussion before.
He's been phenomenal in the white ball, absolutely phenomenal, and I would want to see him in the white ball for another couple of years. I just think at this time there has to come a stage where we have to trust what's behind. Rassie is 33 now, 32, 33. We have to give somebody like Kyle, Ryan, Keegan Peterson, Van Tonda, you have to say to them, right, you've scored your runs domestically, you're averaging 45, 50 with the bat, we're going to trust you. We're going to give you 2 years, give you your time. There has to be a time when we say, hand over the baton. That's not to say that Rassie's been poor. He's averaging just under 40. He's been a good cricketer. But I just think right now we need to make a couple of changes that are going to take us forward. And I think particularly Ryan and Kyle, the way they play, they are more likely to take the attack to the bowlers. And we need that kind of cricket at the moment.
Look, I think Ryan I think for me, Ryan is just lucky because of Quinny's injury. I think if Quinny comes back, Ryan sits out. I think throughout this test match in this test series, I think I said it, it's between Rassie and Temba, essentially. What this middle order misses, what this batting lineup misses, is somebody who can score 100 and go on to score a big 100. Dean's done that before, and we've seen that. Aiden is getting there, and you want that. But in that middle order, Temba's only, his top score is 102. Everybody knows that. Rassie hasn't crossed 100 yet in like 10 matches. That's fine. I'm okay with that. His top score is 90. There's no evidence that he can go out and score a big century, right? And then on top of that, got Keegan, who's new. He always comes in when South Africa's either 1-4, 1 or whatever, or 0. And then on top of that, you've got Quinny, Quinny's high score is 141, guys. He doesn't have anything above 150, right? So I'm keeping Quinny, yes, because from a talent perspective, Quinny's the most talented batsman in that side, right? And you can argue with me about Aiden, but that guy's Quinny's hand, and we need to figure out what we need to do with him. But then it's between Temba and Rassie, and I'm okay if you want to say, and this is what I'd be okay with, dropping Rassie and saying we're going with Kyle and we're moving forward. I'm not saying drop Rassie out of the ODI and the T20 side. We need Rassie in those formats. He's actually been more effective in those formats.
Much more.
The other problem, yes, the other issue, and the other issue I have is you'll have a top 6 with rookies, right? And the answer then is you then say to South Africa that we're going with these youngsters. We're going to give them 3 years. Let's see them after 3 years. We're going to lose. We're going to do all of these things. We're going to bumble our way through all of these things. We're going to lose them, fine. It's going to be frustrating. But let's give these guys a chance and let's see how far they'll go. Because the one thing about India and that Indian top 6, even though they're not on form right now, is that there's the threat that a big 100 is coming. And that's why, like when Kohli came in, when Agarwal went out, when Pujara went out, the threat was there. And it looked more enticing as it went along. So too, when Rahane came in, the threat was there. In the South African batting lineup, there is no threat. You as a captain, an opposition captain, know that, look, even if they score 100 runs, it might not hurt you because they can't go on to take the game away from you from that point in time. And so that's where maybe, and it's a maybe. I'm not saying Rassie must be dropped. I'm not even saying, I say Rassie must be in the side. I'm just saying we just need to maybe have a rethink. And maybe this is the time to say we're backing youngsters. Maybe this is the time to say, Quinny, we've got Ryan and Verena. Quinny, you should bat at number 4. Take the gloves away, back with more responsibility. Maybe this is the time we have to think about it because everyone, throughout the test match, the media center was like rebuilding. This team's not rebuilding. This team's been there for 3 years. Like, when are we going to start asking? Because this is the team that needs to produce results. They're not producing results. You know, and so if they're not producing results, then what must we do now? So we have to look at people who we're dropping, who we're moving forward. And I'm okay to say to Temba, you've batted well for the country. It hasn't been, but we're going in a different direction. It'd be tough to take, but that's it. But we can't right now because Temba's right now the only batsman in the series with 2 chances, 2 small sample size, who's actually batting in a technically coherent way that we need people to bat in. So this opportunity with Quinny going away and maybe the potential playing 7 will give us a glimpse into what the future holds. Kyle's played at the West Indies. He didn't have a great time. Maybe this is another glimpse into the future. And there's a possibility if you can play a 7th batter that you bring in Ryan Rickleton. And if they, even in the Wonders and in Newlands, 2 of them or 1 of them scores some runs, there's a chance for us to have that conversation going to New Zealand and going to England to say, maybe we could go in that direction. So all I'm saying is look at this test, watch this test. Everybody watch how these guys bat, see how these guys bat. If the pipeline is strong enough, then we move. And yes, Timber is very important to the side. I'm not saying Timber and Rice are very important. I'm not saying they're not. I'm just saying that we need to be able to have that forward plan, and we need to be able to look forward, because currently the limitations of the side, Timber's the best batsman we have, but his limitation, as Tim said earlier on, is that he can't score 100. He can't score big numbers. We need him to go big. So the one answer that Tim and I came up with, and you said, Tim, move him up the order. That's an answer. Move him up the order. He must bat with more established batsmen. Yes, wickets were falling around him at St. John from those established batsmen, but at least it gives him more of a chance to score big runs. So instead of him scoring 50 and getting out because he's got Marco Jansen, he could get 100. And yes, he get 100, and Marco Jansen needs to carry him for 10 runs. That's an idea, especially at the Wanderers. I'd move him up. I'd actually move Rassie to 3, Timber at 4, and just have the Lions middle order buttressing everybody else. But yeah, that's how I'm thinking about the side, because we're going in circles, it seems. We were here in against England. We're still here. We're at the same place. The only difference is that Keegan Peterson's replaced Faf.
Yeah.
Tim, do you have any final words?
I just hope that as much as we both want changes, I think we only really want a couple of changes, but I hope that they look forwards. My problem with this coaching setup is they're not looking forwards. They're looking here and now. That is my huge concern, as you've well established. I just hope that they look to the idea, at least entertain the idea of batting Kyle and Rayner at the same 11. There is no reason why they cannot play both as batsmen. There is absolutely no reason. So I just hope that they are looking a bit forward, looking at actual ways of where the side can improve. Making tinkering changes is not going to make a huge difference. We need significant changes. So if you promote somebody like Bavuma, it gives that guy extra responsibility. It says to him, we believe in you, we're going to bat you higher, but you need to score there. You need to score. You need to perform. The senior guys, the Russies, the Algos, the Markhams, the Bavumas, have to perform in the series. All 4 of them, at some stage, have to perform. They have to stand up and say, you know what, KG, you don't have to take 10 wickets every match. We need to actually say, we need to move away from bowlers winning our test matches. There has to come a time where our batsmen stand up and say, we'll win this one for you. Because we can't survive on just doing the bowlers. We cannot get to number 1 by just doing the bowlers. We didn't do that in 2008. We didn't do that in 2012. That is well known. So we have to move forward. We have to change. We have to become a little bit more unpredictable. We are too predictable as a side. Teams know that if they get Araga, they get Quinton, boom, finish, game over. Thanks for coming. They need to know that that's not the case.
Yeah. And look, it's not only a South African problem. I think all teams in world cricket minus New Zealand have a problem of how we're going to score 300 plus runs or everything else. It's just that I think I look at Australia, Steve Smith always carries a threat. You look at New Zealand. New Zealand's different because they don't threaten you, but they just punish you. The guys just come through and they just score bucket loads of runs. England have the same issue, and they need to break that thing down. Tim, you were going to say something?
Yeah. I'm just going to say, Australia are going to be very, very difficult to beat at home for the next 2 or 3 years. If everybody's fit,
I think the next
they are going to be nigh on impossible to beat at home. Challenge for them is to go away, but they are already moving in the right direction. They've got a solid team. They've got good backup players. The Jai Richardsons of this world, Scott Boland's. They've got good guys coming through their systems, giving them chances. They're going in the right direction. If we want to look where we want to go, we want to go with them. I know we don't like
Yes.
Sterling's, but that is the way you want to go. You want to be difficult to beat at home. And at the moment, we are not. We are not difficult to beat.
Yeah, and yeah, so and to a certain extent, that's what it is. I look at Manus Labuskaghni and I sit there going, "Where's that guy for South Africa? That guy for South Africa should be Timber, but we need runs. We need him to get us a little bit more. He's showing us it's the Markram frustration. Like, but the thing is with Timber, you 116 half centuries, 16." It's amazing that, you know, he's probably one of the best batters to get to 50, best looking batters to get to 50. And we just need him to push on and whatever it is. And we need everybody in this team. They have so much potential, but they're not living up to it. And I think for me, it will go back to a little bit on the coaching side. We need a batting coach. We need to have plans. We need the structures and everything else. I think that's where we ended up. Tim, what are you expecting at the Wanderers outside of wickets? There's been a lot of rain around in Johannesburg. What are you expecting? What's the magic number? If you were to tell Dean or Virat the first innings number that they needed to get them to win, like the minimum for victory, what do you think that number would be?
I think you're probably right. There is a difference between domestic and international. There is a difference. But you're probably right. You're probably 250, 275. You probably think with if the pitchers are going to play like they play in the 4-day stuff, boy, it's going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be like it's going to be over like 3 days.
Yeah, that's what I'm expecting. Like honestly, that's what I'm expecting. Win the toss, bowl first, and put them under pressure. That's what the Lions have done. That's what whoever wins the toss, I think, should do. I don't think anybody wants to bat at the Wanderers in that first session. You could lose 5 wickets up front. And ask any, like, and that's what, if India do their research and they call Alan Donald, they call whoever, guys, Duan Olivier has made the Wanderers a nightmare to bat on. But on the other end,
just quickly,
yes.
He averages under 12. Okay, he averages under 12 this season. Just say that. Yeah, go on.
Yes, but on the other hand, the Lions batsmen, the home team batsmen, have also struggled. Apart from Ryan Rickleton, who averages 93 domestically in this season, so it's going to be very tough for the batsmen. Your technique is going to be tested if bowlers are accurate, and you know that's going to be something that the South Africans will be hoping. I don't want South Africa to waste the morning session if they're bowling. If South Africa wastes the morning session, you might as well just hand it over to India. But I do think you're right. 275. I'd say. I look Centurion here. 300 was the magic number. I think it was 270 was the magic number. Centurion. I'd say go a little bit down. 250, 240 at the Wanderers because of what that surface is. Lots more pace, lots more bounce, and yeah. And yeah, so I'm expecting to see Duan. It makes yes, I understand why he wasn't at Centurion because of COVID and the bowling load worry. Now I'm expecting Duan to be unleashed. This is the return of the Call Packs. Sadly, after Simon has signed an extended deal, but we'll talk about that sometime soon. Thank you very much, Tim. All the best, my friend. Have a great, lovely new year to everybody who's listened and followed. Remember, you can follow us on One World Sports Radio. We'll be live from Johannesburg, the Wanderers, with the stadium effects and everything else on the 3rd of Jan at 10 a.m. And then we'll go all the way to Cape Town for that third test. 1WSR.com, One World Sports Radio on YouTube. We're working with CSA to bring out a radio package, and thank you for all the love and comments throughout the things. But Duan has to play. I hope he does. And have a happy new year. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a lovely New Year's, and we'll see you on the other side of the test with probably a preview. I don't know when we're going to do a preview, but we'll see you on the other side. Thank you very much, everyone, and have a good day. Goodbye.